ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වරට SLT 4G වෙතින් දැන් Pure TV නරඹන්න. ඉදිරියටම ගෙන යන SLT 4G.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, getting back to normal. The President greenlights holding off processions in accordance with health guidelines. Serious allegations. Easter PCOI told of dilution of key intel information on Easter attack warnings. Desperate measures. Ex-airline executives remains discovered at Independence Square with self-inflicted gunshot wounds. On the way out, health authorities report Navy virus cluster gradually coming under control. All that and much more coming up on First at 9, this Friday the 12th of June 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nava Sunlight Sakura, then Dikukal Pavatina Sakura Mal Suandin.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamike Kanayaka. Let's start with your local stories. Now, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks heard evidence from the senior DIG in charge of the Western Province, Nandan Munasinghe, as well as DIG Ajit Rohana. In response to questions regarding the lack of action on the intelligence warnings issued prior to the fateful day, the senior police officials revealed to the Commission that the lack of definite details in the warnings and what they termed dilution of the contents by higher-ups in the police department is what gave officers doubts over its credibility.
The Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police responsible for the Western Province at the time of the Easter attacks, Nandan Munasinghe, gave evidence before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter attacks yesterday. Testifying before the Commission, Senior DIG Munasinghe stated that he received a phone call from the then Senior DIG in charge of the Criminal Investigation Department, Ravi Saniviratna, at 5:47 p.m. on April 20th, the day before the attack. During the phone call, the senior DIG of the CID told him that since the following day was Easter Sunday, there was a possibility of attacks on Catholic churches and suggested the beefing up of security at the locations. Senior DIG Munasinghe added that immediately following the phone call, Director of the State Intelligence Service Nilanthi Jayawardena had also called him, informing him that reliable information had been received of an imminent attack on churches and the Indian High Commission and urged him to enhance security as well. He added that he had then sought further information from the SIS director to ascertain the accuracy of the information. The Commission was then told that through this, Senior DIG Munasinghe had ascertained that the SIS director knew about dry runs having been carried out and that it was a group led by Zara and Hashim that would be carrying out the attacks. He added that his next course of action was to inform the 4 DIGs in charge of the Western Province to intensify security, as well as contacting the officer overseeing the Negombo division, which contains the largest density of Catholic churches. Further, DIG Munasinghe revealed that during the briefing of the 4 police officials, he had received a phone call from IGP Pujit Jayasundara, who had asked him if he had received a message from the SIS director, to which he replied in the affirmative, after which the IGP had then disconnected the line. He also revealed that SIS Director Nilanthi Jayawardena had called him again at 8:29 am on 21st of April and sought confirmation of a Methodist church in the Colombo area. When the senior DIG confirmed the existence of a Methodist church in the Kolpiti area, the SIS director had then confirmed that the church in question was to be attacked. He added that he then contacted DIG Lalit Patinayaka, who was in charge of the Colombo district, and instructed him to strengthen security at the Methodist church. Minutes later, the senior DIG recalled he received another phone call from the SIS director, who informed him that 2 churches in Grand Pass and in Kotehena 2 had been confirmed as targets, following which arrangements were made to provide security at the locations. The Commission then asked the senior DIG why no action was taken to inform the Archbishop of Colombo of the threats and to cancel all services at the churches, to which he replied that with the IGP already in the know of the threats, such a decision is one that should ideally have been made at the higher levels of the police department. After a 9-hour-long testimony from Senior DIG Munasinghe, the Commission then called on the head of the Police Traffic and Road Safety Division, DIG Ajit Rohana. DIG Ajit Rohana began his testimony by informing the Commission that although warnings of attacks on churches and the Indian High Commission had been received by the Colombo District DIG's office on 11th April, it was not considered a definitive intelligence warning. The DIG added that the dilution of the information resulted from the inclusion of the term undetermined and instructions to continue discreet inquiries at the very beginning of the letter. He added that the IGP's note for necessary action on the letter too added to this dilution, as if the seriousness of the warning had been realized by the IGP, the right action should have been to forward the information to the Terrorism Investigation Division. DIG Ajit Rohana was also asked why no action was taken to cancel church services after receiving such information, to which he replied that such question is now being posed after the attacks took place. However, to take such action to cancel all Easter Sunday services based on unverified information would have been controversial and resulted in major backlash if the attacks did not take place. The Commission then shifted focus to Zahran Hashim's brother Rilwan Hashim, who died in the explosion at Sain the Maradu and who had previously undergone medical treatment at the Colombo National Hospital. Colombo National Hospital physician Dr. M.K. Chandana was then called to testify in this regard. The physician noted that on August 27, 2018, a patient registered as M.I. Shahid, showing severe injuries to his head, left eye and arm, was admitted to the emergency treatment unit by 4 individuals. When shown a photograph of Rilwan Hashim, the physician confirmed him to be the same patient. When showed a photograph of Muhammad Ibrahim Sadiq Abdullah Haq, a suspect wanted in connection with vandalism of the Marvin and the Buddha statues, the physician confirmed that the suspect was also among the group. Following this, a nursing officer on duty that day told the Commission that although the patient stated that his injuries were sustained by a gas cylinder explosion, the nature of his injuries cast severe doubts on the story. The nursing officer also revealed that the group became visibly agitated and angry when the patient was taken to the hospital police unit for the recording of a statement.
Now, with fresh COVID-19 infections being limited to the Navy cluster and overseas returnees, Director General of Health Services Dr. Anil Jasinger says that the virus situation with regards to the Navy is getting better. Dr. Jasinger went on to say that there is a possibility to send home over 1,200 naval personnel who are under quarantine at the Valisara Naval Base.
All the COVID-19 infections confirmed yesterday are naval personnel. They were all undergoing quarantine at the Iyakkachi, Mullaitivu and Vidattapalai facilities. With the addition of the 8 coronavirus positive naval personnel from yesterday, the total number of Navy sailors to have contracted the virus rose to 882. Meanwhile, from that figure, 657 sailors have recovered from the virus, with 7 of them being given the all clear to go home today. Sri Lanka's overall number of COVID-19 recoveries also shot up to 1,196 today, after 46 patients were discharged from hospital after successful recovery from the virus. This puts the island's number of active COVID-19 cases at 670.
පසුගිය සතිය පමණ කාලය තුළ COVID-19 රෝගීන් අඩුවෙන් වාර්තා වීමක් පැහැදිලිව පෙන්눔 කරනවා. ඒ වගේම නාවික හමුදාවේ තත්ත්වය සලකා බැලුවොත් ඒ ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම තා හොඳ තත්ත්වයකට පැමිණෙමින් පවතිනවා. මේ අනුව ඊයේ දිනේදී වැලිසර නාවික හමුදා පරිශ්‍රයේ 1290ක් නිවෙස් බලා පිට කිරීම සඳහා හැකියාව තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම නිරෝධායන මධ්‍යස්ථානවල සිටින නාවික හමුදාවේ උදවිය 3000කට අධිකයි. එම සංඛ්‍යාවෙන් 622ක්
Meanwhile, 223 Sri Lankans were brought home from Manila in the Philippines last night. Among the returnees are 113 naval personnel. After the returnees were subjected to PCR tests, they were directed to hotels in the vicinity of the Bandaranaike International Airport. They will remain there until the results of their PCR tests are made available.
ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ එතර සිටින උදවිය ගෙන්වා ගැනීම සඳහා වැඩසටහන ඊයේ දිනේත් නැවත සකස් කරනු ලැබුවා. මේ අනුව දිනක් හැර දිනක් වගේ මේ ගුවන් යානා යවා සිරවී සිටින සීරුතාවෙන් සිටින අය සඳහා වැඩි ප්‍රමුඛතාවයක් රජය විසින් ලබා දෙනු ලබනවා ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයින් ගෙන්වා ගැනීමේදී.
In the meantime, members of the public were seen attending religious places of worship today, as per the government's announcement made allowing members of the public to visit religious sites while adhering to health guidelines. Accordingly, the maximum number of people who can attend a religious site while adhering to social distancing is limited to 50. At religious sites where space is limited, half the number of people who can be accommodated under normal circumstances will be permitted to occupy the site at any given time.
කොරෝනා වෛරසය පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has given the green light to hold processions at various religious institutions, including that of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy. During a meeting with the Presidential Task Force for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak to discuss a mechanism to organise this year's annual processions, it was also decided that members of the general public will not be allowed to participate and watch processions this season.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has instructed the Derana Nilame of the Sacred Temple of the Tooth Relic in Kandy and other custodians to organise this year's processions at main places of worship and devalayas, giving priority to traditional and religious rituals. The President has further said that adequate measures should be taken to hold the scheduled processions of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic and devalayas, including Kataragama, Devinuvara and Sabargamua, adhering to the health guidelines to prevent the spread of coronavirus. The head of state gave these instructions at a meeting held at the Presidential Secretariat today with the Presidential Task Force for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak to discuss a mechanism to organize this year's annual processions. The public is not only allowed to participate and view processions at any religious place this year. It is also not permitted to conduct the Padayatra, the traditional walk by devotees who travel from Nallur Jaffna, Trincomalee and from several parts of the eastern province to participate in the Kataragama procession. The Presidential Task Force for the Prevention of COVID-19 emphasized the necessity of conducting all Perahara festivals with the least number of artists while following health guidelines. The water cutting ceremony should also be attended by the minimum possible number of people. Meanwhile, the inquiring committee appointed to investigate alleged irregularities at the ETI investments met with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday. The committee informed the President that the ETI investments had not followed the proper procedures in their conduct from its inception. The committee pointed out that it had invested its assets in other institutes and at the same time it had not been supervised by the central bank. President Gotabaya instructed the committee to investigate into the irregularities in depth and pay more attention to return people their deposits immediately, while emphasizing that the central bank cannot evade its responsibility in this manner. He added that the central bank is obligated to protect depositors and it has failed in its duty.
An Ombudsman office has been set up at the Presidential Secretariat to look into the grievances of the public and provide speedy solutions. The President's Media Division said that retired Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police S.M. Wickramasinghe has been appointed to the post. The purpose of the Ombudsman Office is to provide solutions to any inconvenience or distress caused to the public as a result of negligence of public officers or acting beyond their limit while exercising their administrative powers. The office is located on 3rd floor, Old Standard Chartered Bank Building, Janadipati Mawatha, Colombo 1. People can submit their complaints or grievances in person or by visiting the office, or they can forward their issues by post. The public can reach the office through telephone, fax or email. PMD quoted Ombudsman S.M. Wickramasinghe as saying that people can also complain about large-scale drug trafficking which causes disruption to the civilian life, damages to the environment and any other illegal activity to him. We will see you shortly after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the provision of concessionary loans for up to 5 years to tourist hotels and tour management companies to pay salaries during the coronavirus pandemic. What's more, Sri Lanka's tour guides and drivers registered with the State Tourism Agency will also get a one-off payment as part of relief measures as the tourism sector is starved of revenue owing to the pandemic's restrictions. The Cabinet had given its approval to implement a relief program for institutions and persons engaged in the tourism industry in a bid to minimise the adverse impact the industry was dealt with following the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, the green light has been given to provide loan facilities so that staff of tourist hotels and tour management companies registered under the Tourism Development Authority can be paid for 6 months. The loans will have to be paid back within 5 years and carries a 2-year concessionary period under an interest rate of 4%. Accordingly, staff can be paid 20,000 rupees per head. Meanwhile, it has also been decided to provide loan facilities for the payment of 15,000 rupees each for those serving in other institutions related to tourism, including restaurants, cafes and physical health centres registered under the SLTDA for 6 months. What's more, a one-time payment of 20,000 rupees per head will be paid for tourist guides registered under the SLTDA. A one-time payment of 15,000 rupees per head has also been agreed for drivers in the tourism industry. To qualify for the payment, they too need to be registered under the SLTDA. Further, it had been given the go-ahead to provide facilities to pay electricity and water bills payable from the 1st of March to the 31st of August 2020 from the 1st of September in 12 equal instalments without experiencing any disruption to the services. The concessionary 6-month period given for payment of leasing installments in the tourism trade has also been extended up to 12 months without any delay charges. Now, the body of a former manager of the Sri Lankan Airlines was found this morning at the Independence Square. Police say that the 64-year-old had left a note for his brother and a gun was found next to his remains. They also suspect that he might have taken his own life.
A body of a deceased man was found near the Independence Square in Colombo at around 6:45 this morning. The deceased was identified as 64-year-old Rajiva Jayavira with his national identity card showing an address in Rajagiriya. The police said that a micro-firearm with 4 live ammunition was found near the body. Despite his national ID card giving his address in Rajagiriya, he was last spotted at his residence in the area of Milagiriya in Bambalapitiya. The victim had served as a manager of Sri Lankan Airlines and later operated an airline ticketing company. He had given the keys of his office to an employee and had instructed the maid at his house in Bambalapitiya to give the key to his car to his brother just before leaving the house last evening. He was also a freelance journalist who has published many articles on Mihin Lanka and Sri Lankan Airlines. The police stated that the victim had written a letter to his brother.
ඒ ලිපියේ සඳහන් වෙලා තියෙන කරුණු අනුව ඔහු යම්කිසි සුසුන්නාගත ආබාධයකින් පෙළෙන බවත් සියදිවි නසා ගැනීම සඳහා තීරණය කළ බවත් ඊට අදාළව යම් යම් පණිවිඩ කීපයකොත් ඒ සඳහා භාවිත කළ ගිනි අවිය මිලදී ගැනීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්ොත් තොරතුරු ඒ ලිපිය ඇතුළත් කර තිබෙනවා.
According to the report released following the post-mortem examination that was conducted by the Colombo Judicial Medical Officer LML De Silva, the cause of death was determined to be a bullet that entered the head through the mouth.
අධිකරණ වෛද්‍ය නිලධාරීවරයා විසින් වාර්තා කරලා තියෙනවා ඔහුගේ ශරීරයේ වෙනත් කිසිදු තුවාලයක් නොමැති බවත් ඒ වගේම බාහිර පාර්ශවයක් විසින් සිදු කරන ලද තුවාල කිසිවක් හඳුනා ගැනීමට හැකියාවක් නැති බවත් එවැනි තුවාල කිසිවක් නිරීක්ෂණය නොවන බවත් මේ සියලු තත්ත්වයන් යටතේ දැනට මෙම මරණය සියදිවි නසා ගැනීමක් විය හැකි බවට විශ්වාස කරනවා කෙසේ වෙතත් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මහේස්ත්‍රාත් පරීක්ෂණය ඉදිරියේදී පැවැත්වීමට නියමිතයි දැනට අපි ආවට ප්‍රදේශවල CCTV දර්ශන ලබාගෙන තිබෙනවා ඒ දර්ශන නිරීක්ෂණය කරලා තියෙනවා නමුත් තාම අපිට ඔහු පැමිණි ආකාරය පිළිබඳව දර්ශන එළිදරව් වෙලා නැහැ.
The issue of the seizure of leased vehicles when a moratorium announced by the government to banks and finance companies in face of the COVID-19 downturn is in effect has taken centre stage this week after the brutal assault and death of a key activist for the country's three-wheeler operators who rely heavily on leasing services. However, public outrage has been expressed over the inability of the central bank to regulate companies that provide such services despite having no mandate to do so. 53-year-old father of 3, Sunil Jayawardena, lost his life when he tried to intervene in such a company that has seized the vehicle of a member of his association that Jayawardena was the chairman of. Following this, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has ordered the Inspector General of Police to immediately take action to prevent leasing companies from seizing vehicles for which payments have been delayed, citing them as illegal acts.
Public outrage has been expressed over the inhuman assault caught on camera of the chairman of the Self-Employed Professionals Three-Wheeler Association, Sunil Jayawardena, by employees of an investment company, resulting in his death in hospital. Criticism has been aimed at the non-regulation of such companies by the country's apex financial regulator, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. Companies that provide leasing and finance facilities must be registered with the central bank, but it has been revealed that the company in question, Chanmil Investments, was not. The remains of the 53-year-old father of 3 arrived at his home in Kaspava this morning, ahead of his final rites, which are to be performed at the Bodulas Kamul General Cemetery on Sunday.
ඒ ඝාතනය කරන්න උපදෙස් ලබා දුන්නා කියලා මේ මාධ්‍ය ඔස්සේ වාර්තා වුණා ඒ අයිතිකරු. ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් තොරතුරු තියෙනවා.
දැනට අනාවරණ වෙලා තියෙන සමහර තොරතුරු අපිට මාධ්‍ය වලට නිකුත් කරන්න බෑ. අපි මේ මිනිමෙරුම සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපක්ෂපාතීව සාධාරණ පරීක්ෂණයක් පවත්වනවා.
Sunil Jayawardena's assault and murder came about as a result of his efforts to assist a member of his association in releasing his three-wheeler, which had been seized by the finance company at the center of the killing, Chanmil Investments Private Limited. Jayawardena's involvement was sought in order to attempt to get the finance company to adhere to the government-mandated moratorium on leasing payments, which were issued to licensed finance companies by the central bank. It has been revealed that the finance company has not been registered with the central bank to provide leasing facilities or act as a finance company, which is a prerequisite and illegal according to the laws of the land.
විශේෂයෙන්ම පාතාලය යොදා ගනිමින් දාමරිකයන් යොදා ගනිමින් මේ කටයුතු කරන්න තියෙන ඉඩකඩ අපි අහුරන්න ඕන. එම නිසා විශේෂයෙන්ම කරු ජනාධිපතිතුමත් අගමැතිතුමත් සමග සාකච්ඡා කරලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඊළඟ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල හැකිතාක් ඉක්මනට මෙවැනි ආකාරයේ යාන වාහන අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීමවලදී අධිකරණයේ සම්බන්ධතාවයක් නොමැතිව අධිකරණ නියෝගයක් නොමැතිව ඒ පුජ්‍යලයන්ට සහ ඒ පුජ්‍යලික සමාගම් වලට හිතුමනා අපිට වාහන අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම නවත්තන්න. අපේ මහ බැංකුව පිළිබඳව මේ රටේ ජනතාවට කොහෙත්ම සෑහීමකට පත් වෙන්න බෑ. මහ බැංකුව වගකීම් පැහැර හැරීම ඉතා බරපතල ලෙස තියෙනවා.
Now, Fitch Ratings has revised the national long-term ratings of three finance companies, Serendip Finance Limited, Richard Peary's Finance and Dialogue Finance PLC. The ratings revisions stem from revisions of parent companies, their shareholdings in the companies and strong credit profiles.
Fitch Ratings has revised Serendip Finance Limited's national long-term rating to AA negative from A positive LKA with a negative outlook, and that of Richard Peary's Finance Limited to A negative LKA from its previous BBB positive LKA with a stable outlook. Fitch has also affirmed Dialogue Finance PLC's national long-term rating at AA at AA LKA with a stable outlook. The upward revision of Serendip's rating stems from the upward revision of the rating of its parent, Commercial Bank of Ceylon PLC, from AA LKA with a negative outlook following the recalibration of the agency's Sri Lankan national rating scale. Serendip's rating is driven by Fitch's view that its parent Commercial Bank would provide extraordinary support if required. Richard Peary's Finance Limited's rating is based on its parent company's majority 98% effective shareholding and the common brand name. In addition, Fitch says that it believes that support from the parent could be constrained by Richard Peary's Finance's large size, as its assets represented 111% of group equity and 29% of group assets at end September 2019. Meanwhile, Dialogue Finance's rating is based on Dialogue's 99% equity stake and the company's high operational and management integration with the parent and the common Dialogue brand. Dialogue's credit profile and its ability to support Dialogue Finance is reflected in its rating, which is underpinned by its standalone strength.
Sri Lankan shares ended slightly lower today as losses in the industrial sector outweighed gains in consumer staple stocks, but the index notched a weekly gain. The CSE all-share price index closed down 0.05% at 4,914.83. However, it recorded a 2.8% gain for the week. Foreign investors were net sellers, offloading about 596 million rupees worth of shares. Now, here's a brief report on today's market performance.
Today we saw the market broadly flat with only a marginal dip in the market for approximately the second consecutive trading session that we saw this. We saw the market actually significantly dipping at the start of the trading session and continuing that way for most part of the session with a significant selling pressure in the market. However, then we saw significant amount of buying interest coming back into the market. So with that, all the losses in the market got erased, with the market only being down by 2 points by the end of the trading session. So we saw significant interest in LOLC shares, mostly by the local investors, because we saw a lot of foreign selling in LOLC today. Also, one of the largest foreign selling has come from LOLC, and with that we saw selling pressure, especially foreign in the banking counters, where led by commercial non-voting. So with that, we are looking at higher level of buying interest from the local investor community. So we see a lot of retail activity in these days, and with that, high net worth and institutional, all three are present in the market. Foreigners are also present, but mostly onto the selling side.
Now, in your currency update, the Sri Lankan rupee ended at 185 rupees and 20 cents against the US dollar, marginally weaker compared with last session's close of 185 rupees and 10 cents. Now, let's take a look at how it fared against other major currencies during the day. We will see you shortly. Bear with us. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, as deaths from the virus continue to mount, India's top court has expressed outrage over the way patients are being handled by hospitals and authorities. The Supreme Court had said that COVID-19 patients are being treated worse than animals. In the meantime, India has reported a total of 297,535 coronavirus infections, surpassing the United Kingdom to become the fourth worst affected country in the world, behind only to the United States, Brazil and Russia. Meanwhile, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has warned citizens that the number of deaths from the coronavirus will continue to rise in the country as the death toll hit a single-day record of 107 yesterday. Addressing the nation, Khan continued to rule out imposing any widespread lockdown, saying that instead there would be greater monitoring of social distancing and hygiene directives. Now, often the unloved Coppa Italia will get a moment in the spotlight as it reopens the Italian football season after the coronavirus stoppage, with Napoli Stadio Sao Paulo getting a thorough clean today ahead of the semi-final one against Inter Milan. Gennaro Gattuso's team will host Inter tomorrow, while Juventus play AC Milan in the other last four game today. Each team had to play only 2 matches, both at home, to reach the semis, thanks to the quirks of a format which seems designed to avoid the giant-killing romance which characterizes the English and French Cups. The final is scheduled for Wednesday the 17th. In the Italian version, the top 8 Serie A teams from the previous season do not enter the fray until the round of 16, by which time any minnows have almost certainly been eliminated. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.